This video is a discussion between me and Daniel. Daniel is an artist and coder, and on his YouTube channel Hashlips, he teaches NFT development. That's probably the biggest channel 100% dedicated to NFT development. So in this video, Daniel talks of his own journey, how he started his career as an artist, then learned coding, and finally stumbled upon blockchain and NFTs and how he fell in love with it. Daniel also talks about generative art, how it works, and what are the different subgenres. So if you are into NFT and coding, watch this video because you are going to learn a lot of things and hear a very cool story. Hi guys, today we have Daniel of Hashlips. Welcome, Daniel.
Thanks, Julian. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I love Eat the Block. So for me, it's a pleasure being here and just having a chat.
Yeah, likewise. You know, I saw your name popping up on my feed on YouTube. And as soon as I found out about your channel, I was sold right away. And I did some research also on GitHub. I saw all your GitHub with all the project. I was like, okay, this is the NFT master. So I'm super curious. Daniel, can you tell us what is your story? How did you start with digital art? How did you start with coding? And finally, how did you get into crypto?
Oh, absolutely, man. First of all, you saw my channel, I saw yours. I also just want to say thank you for having me again because Eat the Block is a huge channel and I absolutely love what you guys are doing there. So I'll start with my journey. I guess, where do I start? I guess I can start off with where it all started for me. As the developer. When I was very young, when I was growing up, my biggest dream was to be a full-on hacker. Believe it or not, right? I'm not an hacker now, so just don't fill the comments with that. But my biggest dream was to be a hacker because I saw these movies, growing up, and I saw how cool it is for people to just, get onto a computer and get into a space. And to me, that was just amazing. I looked up to these guys, doing software development. So needless to say, I was going through school with this whole image of my head, but I never really pursued it because I was taking subjects. I left science for basically drama. And I left, all my popular subjects like biology, I left for art. And I became the artist in the school. But that being said, my whole life was just about art. And then afterwards, I went to study, got my degree in visual communication, in 3D animation, actually. And also, still after my degree, I still haven't gotten the chance to code. But I convinced my dad at the time, I said to him, look, I can't do 3D animation. Please let me just be an artist. Allow me the chance to prove to you guys that I can do art and make a success of it. So I ended up doing art for about 3 years. Traveled the world, spent some time in China painting there. What basically happened was I got selected and I got this amazing opportunity to paint in China for about 3 months. But under the government of the Chinese embassy, the Arts and Culture Embassy that invited us there. So it was about 5 African artists. So I was from South Africa. We had people from Benin, Tanzania, and also Zimbabwe. So I met amazing artists, Nicole Makura, which was this 83-year-old man. Can you believe it? Like, he was 83 and he was just on this trip with us. And we climbed mountains. We were climbing like mountains. We had to have oxygen on our faces. It was crazy stuff that we did there. Great exposure because obviously the embassy, they wanted to show us the whole culture that China had to offer, and it was truly amazing. We spent the whole of the 3 months in Chengdu City. It's situated in the Sichuan district, and I must say I ate some weird stuff. It was very awesome, by the way. But at the end of the day, it was a big learning experience for me. And but I can believe what you say. If you're a foreigner, in a country like that, it would be hard to make a living because firstly, communication, especially if you're that deep into China and in those kind of how can I say locations, sometimes English is not really readily available at all. So you kind of struggle with communication there. But luckily we had a guide, at least I could ask him the whole time stuff. And it was pretty cool, man. I had an amazing experience there. It's one of the experiences in my life that I'll never forget and take to my grave. And just so glad that I just said yes for that opportunity. And keep in mind, back then I was still working, so I had to just drop everything I did and said, well, I'm taking a leap of faith, and I had to go on this journey. So and there was no time for me to say I'll come back and work again. It was just take it or leave it. So I did that because I'm that type of guy. I'm the spontaneous type. I just go for whatever is in front of me, and if it's something that I see is going to improve my life, or at least improve an experience that I want to have, that's all I'm about. So for me, it was just amazing. So thank you for asking, because just talking about it, it brings back to so many memories, right? We got to meet amazing, things and experiences on the culture, and learned about Dufu and their poets, and why they do art with their poetry and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it was amazing. But yeah, I mean, that, and it was kind of like a climatic decline, because when we got there, we were filmed by a film crew. It was pretty amazing, and then just like that, it was gone. When I came back to South Africa, and that's where I live, by the way, it was just all gone. No one really cared about the Chinese experience and all that stuff, even though it was quite a proud moment. Sorry, my English is not the best, seeing that I'm Afrikaans, my first language, but I'm trying it. It was a proud moment for, I would guess, our country, kind of, because they produced an artist, or at least had the opportunity to present an artist. So you were kind of representing a country back then. But when I came back, it was very nice. Just not so much artworks happening, and you came from a space where it was just art, 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 to it's you in your studio again. And I
Hmm.
had to produce. So obviously, with way more exposure now to different cultures, and also some inspiration inside me, I started doing collections again. But needless to say, at the end of the day, I had to pay rent. I had some expenses to do. Like you have to live at some point. So I had to take up my job. I took up a job in programming, but mostly on the 3D side, creating games for an educational company. And back then, it was super amazing because I got to work in the 3D space, at least, which is still kind of artistic. And then I got used to writing JavaScript. And that's kind of my true introduction into the whole coding space, was in JavaScript. And I always, fell in love with, like I told you about, the hackers and so on. So I was up night and nights. And something I can say to people watching this now: if you have something or a dream that you pursue, just put in every single cell in your body towards that dream, because that dream will come true if you just keep at it and be consistent at what you're doing. So I was just studying JavaScript, making sure, and at that time, the company required me to produce games, and I had no idea how to do full-on games because it wasn't part of the job description, but I wanted to impress them. So I sat up, literally, got to work, found out what the requirement was. The whole day I would sit and just build artworks for what I'm going to do. Got home, Googled like till the morning, get up, like sleep for an hour or two, get up, and I went to work again and implemented. And it happened like that for about 3 months. And trust me, if you do anything like that for 3 months, you become good at it. So I became good at least, we were working with Construct 2, a game engine that back then. Became very good at JavaScript. And then I decided to go more into the right direction with coding, getting my diploma in C# and the whole Microsoft course. But I didn't really like Microsoft at that time. For me, it's awesome. The exposure, C# is a great language, and the great tools .NET offers. But I'm more open source. So I started, falling in love, learning to use Linux, doing other programming languages, backend languages, and everything that revolved around code, I was on it, and I had to learn about it. And in the back of my mind, constantly there was this need to code and do art still. So that's kind of how I fell in love with NFTs. It's not the fact that I saw it one day and I said, this is a big opportunity for me to go into it at all. because when I started off with Hashlips, and this is my brand that I'm hosting, right, and I am trying to build up. When I started off with Hashlips, it's an NFT concept about lips, and they lips on the blockchain. I actually wrote some code to produce 10,000 of these, and I manually uploaded them to each different kind of space. You know, when Binance had something open with the smart chain, I uploaded a few Hashlips there. When Ethereum got or through OpenSea, I uploaded on Ethereum, Polygon, whatever I could get my hands on. You know, up until I realized that that's not the right way of doing things, you know, I started watching your videos and I got really intrigued on how you handled things and how you were explaining the code aspect on stuff. And I was always, my whole life, I love to explain things. I guess people will always want to put me on 1.5 speed because I go into depth into something. I try to not go into too much detail with tutorials because then we'll sit there a whole day talking about why a CSS selector is so important. But apart from that, I then started my own videos, and through inspiration from yourself and other YouTubers, I felt the same need. I felt like there's a need in the space for people to teach others how to do stuff, because I found the disconnect for me when there was no resources available. How do you teach someone else to do this? And actually, I got criticized, not a lot, I mean, but there's so much positivity around me. But one guy's comment stuck with me throughout this whole journey. And it was, bro, you are single-handedly destroying this space because of what you're doing, because you're showing everyone how to do NFTs. And yeah, I just thought about that comment so much, man. And at the end of the day, I wanted to write back to the guy, but I never did. But I wanted to say to him, I don't believe that's true, because by the end of the day, I'm just providing artists paintbrushes, because I'm providing tools for artists to enter the space, with a different medium than just using pen and paper or whatever it is they can do. Well, what they do, right? So that's like kind of saying the guy who invented paintbrushes is destroying a space by just giving tools. That's not fair, right? So, but anyway, that was the whole YouTube journey, and then that started, and yeah, I mean, it's been so fast that I haven't really thought about what's been happening around me, because we have Discord channels, we've got things happening with different communities all the time. So it's just a cool collaborative space. But my word of advice, if you guys want to check watching this video, if you guys want to know how to do generative art programming, I do have, I've written the code for doing that. It's on my channel. But I also know there's some cool, upcoming news that Julian might be wanting to share with you guys on generative art. I don't know if that can be available yet, but all I'm saying is watch Hashlips and keep your eyes on Eat the Blocks, because it's going to be generative kings.
yeah. Well, thanks. This is super interesting. So you mentioned the magical keyword, generative art. We got to talk about this more. So, okay, so please explain to us, because you are both an artist and a coder. So how do we do a generative art? Which tool do we use? And can you describe the process?
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to try and explain the best I can without going into too much detail, because it does get like a big subject. Let me just take a sip here. I cannot promote.
I'm sorry. I feel like I asked you a difficult question. You need to be energized before.
I need to energize. I wish these people will sponsor me. Anyway, so basically, what it comes down to is generative art. Okay, and this is actually something I learned from Elon Musk. Believe it or not, I was listening to one of his talks one day, and he said, if you want to achieve something in your life, break it down to the most simplest concept and you can achieve anything. And I thought it's the most beautifulest thing anyone has said, because I don't even know if he said it. I think so. Maybe I'm giving credit to him, but I don't even mind. I know that that phrase or that kind of thing stuck with me as well, because I wanted to create a collection that's generated purely by giving a few layers and then generating thousands of images. And I thought to myself, how can I achieve that? And it comes down to a basic formula. It is providing different layers. And at some point, when do you kind of compile these layers to build up an image? And while that is happening, you need to record what's happening because you need some kind of record, which is called the metadata. So anyone who is well versed in the NFT space by now knows that NFTs are simply a smart contract with numeric values. These are integer values that ranges usually from 0 to 10,000. That's the most popular kind of NFT collections that you get now. But all they are linkages to a JSON file sitting on some kind of server, whether it's IPFS. And I actually saw you create the IPFS video just now recently that I had a look at as well. And it's simply sitting on one of these decentralized kind of storage mechanisms or on a local server or on a hosted service. And when the function, token URI is queried, we retrieve that for the user. And then that data gets read by the different marketplaces. So such as OpenSea, they all know how to read it because it follows the ERC 721 standard. So the job of the art generator is to kind of create your image and then create that piece of metadata that goes and connects those two, right? That says that this image was created by implementing these layers, and it generates the file as well.
So sorry to interrupt, but I would like just to highlight something very important so that people understand well. So it seems to me that it needs a generative art process. There are two parts. There's one part which is probably done by an artist who create all these layers. So you create, maybe first you create something coherent, and after you have to somehow isolate them into different layers. And then you have a coder that will write maybe a script in Python or something, and that will combine all these layers with a many different combination. But the important part is that this is done by code. So this is not someone that manually combine all these layers. Otherwise, it takes forever. And so you have these two skill set, the coding skill set and the artistic skill set. And in general, is it the same person or are these two different people in general?
So you're absolutely right. There's two parts to this. There's the art part and then the kind of generated code package or whatever program you want to write it in part. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same person. But what is important is that there's good communication between the two parties if you get an artist involved. Because the artworks still have to be kind of created in a way that facilitates it being used by different layers. So for instance, let's say we have got seeing Christmas is coming up, we have a Santa Claus character, and this is a face of Santa Claus, but we want to make a generative Santa Claus, and there's going to be hats and all sorts of Christmas items on him. You need to make sure that all the different items that gets placed on Santa Claus work with the rest of the collection. So you need to kind of think into the future. If you have generated or if you have drawn a certain element, will it work with the other layers? For instance, if we place a hat and there's a candy cane like sitting on the shoulder, will that candy cane overlap the hat at some point if those two layers were to be selected at the same point in time? And if so, which one should be above the other one? There's a whole array of things going in. So that's why these courses are so important, or these videos on explaining how to use it. That's what it comes down to, is like finding that balance, finding the communication of explaining that to the artist. But totally, it doesn't have to be the same person. When it is the same person, it kind of helps because you understand the process fully, but not necessarily always has to be, because usually an artist won't like to dive into the code. But that being said, we do have communities. We do have a Hashlips Discord that people can get help with those things. Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to talk more about the community for generative art, but I still have one question about the generative art. So I was trying to sort of make a map of the space and understand what are the different kind of generative art. So it seems to me that one kind of generative art, probably the biggest part is, as we said before, we generate this image and we create all these layers and then we combine them with code. But it also seems like there is another kind where everything is generated by code, maybe by using some mathematical formula like sinus, cosinus, using exploiting some geometrical property, fractal, etc. You will also have a pixel art. So are you able to describe us what are the different category and where to put all these keywords?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, like you said, there's different genres of generative art, right? And I don't think that, I think there's not even genres being made up. Hopefully Hashlips one day becomes one. But anyway, we still need to think about a genre then. But you get images that gets combined, and that is physical PNG data images, that's layers that gets combined to make new NFTs or new images. But let's not stick with only NFTs, right? Images creating new images. That's one form of generative art. Then you get the generative art when you look at the blockchain called on-chain generative NFTs. And these are NFTs that you were just talking about that is generated mathematically by sometimes combining SVGs. But SVGs, because they exist purely out of code and mathematical equations, they can actually be placed on the blockchain themselves. So when the token URI function is being called on a blockchain contract, and that's usually the function that returns to you the metadata, right? When that function is called and it points to the image is actually generated on the fly. So it means it's generated right then and returned to the user. And that's why it's called on-chain, because there is no decentralized storage service that's hosting the metadata. It's just sitting generated on the blockchain itself. So that one contract is the full NFT experience.
So let me understand how does it work, because we have to respect the EAS 721 standard. So you call the token URI function smart contract, then it gives you this this JSON that will contain a link to the image, but this image is generated on the smart contracts. That's the part I don't understand.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Cool. So basically, yeah, you get the, like, let's say for instance, normal metadata consists of the name, the description, also the actual image, and then some other stuff, right? Like royalties and so on. But that image link that you're talking about, that is generated on the fly, as well as the metadata. So the metadata is generated via text and then pushed through a certain format and then to make it into JSON. But it calls another function on the image field so that that's the part that gets generated and most usually and most probably being returned as base 64 data.
Oh, okay. I think now, I think I get it. Okay, so like first you call the token URI function, then you call the JSON server, you get the JSON, then you get the URL that points to the smart contract, then you make another call to the smart contract and you get the image. Is that correct?
Kind of, but there's only one call, right?
Yeah,
so
okay.
The one call kicks off. So one call kicks off to token URI, and then the contract compiles the JSON on the fly as well. So it's busy compiling in one function. And then in that function, it also creates the image and places it in the JSON so it can all be returned in one shot. And like I said, the image ends up as base 64, like encoded data. Because once a front end takes that JSON, it can simply just display the image. Because remember, base 64, if you put base 64 data in a URI, it would just render the image because it contains all the characters that it needs in order for it to display the image. So it's one call. And that's what makes it so cool. I do have one video on how to create this kind of collections. If you want to check it out, it's pretty amazing if you guys want to learn more about it. But like you said, that's one type of genre, right? But there's many more. There's people wanting to do this with MP4s and music and combining music with images, and then you can even get interactive HTML generative artworks. meaning that it's physical games that's been altered in a way. There's a project that I'm working on that I'm not going to share now immediately, because it's something that I really want to have revolutionize the way we think about, what's possible with generative art. But that being said, the possibilities currently is endless, and I'm just so sad there's not enough time in a weekend to complete all this stuff or learn about more stuff.
Yeah, I know, but that's super cool to learn about generative art, and we don't have a lot of resources on that, but yeah, thanks to Hashlips, now we start to have some resource. And so next, I have some question about how we can launch an NFT collection. So first of all, which marketplace do you recommend? Because there are so many. There is OpenSea, Rarible, etc. So how can we choose? Does it depend on the kind of NFT?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to step on any marketplace's toes, because I work with a lot of them. So things like Rarible, marketplaces like Rarible, and all the other ones are perfectly fine. So if I mention this one, please don't think that the other ones are not good. The only reason why I'm mentioning this one in particular, and its name is OpenSea, is because it's currently the biggest marketplace. It is there. It is a very nice way of launching a collection, either by doing it through them in their lazy minting way. So you can either go ahead and create your images and then manually upload one by one onto their servers, and they create the contract that's seen as lazy minting. So you don't really pay the gas when you mint your NFT. Well, when you upload it, but when someone mints your NFT, they pay the gas fees. But why they're so good is because they just continue with development. They have great APIs to interact with. And also, when you create a collection on Ethereum or Polygon, and that very first mint takes place, they actually pick it up and it's associated with your contract. So immediately, once your contract is uploaded the dev way, if I can put it like that, it's immediately on OpenSea as well. And then you can go ahead and change the banners, the royalties, and so on. So OpenSea, for me as a beginner, to just go ahead and deploy a collection is probably the best. They have got the most users, so the chance of you selling your NFT is also much bigger.
Okay, so and you for the other NFT marketplace, is there any advantage using them for specific niche? So I know that, for example, Superware, they are in this very specific segment for like upscale NFTs.
Yeah, I mean, these other marketplaces like Superware, I don't know a tremendous amount about them, but I do know that they kind of handpick their artists that they want to work with. So in that case, you as an individual don't really have a say in using them, right? They generally pick you by submission. So you submit your artworks, and if you get picked, which is really good because it's so exclusive, you really do well there. But obviously, that's a more submission based. So you submit your artworks, and if they like it, they might onboard you. You also get a lot of other marketplaces like Polygon marketplaces, where you get, I think it's NFT, if I'm not mistaken, but NFT is actually a project that provides you utilities to deploy Polygon contracts to create collections, and they also have their small marketplace. But like I said again, the traffic and the user base is sitting currently on OpenSea and Rarible, these bigger ones. But from my personal experience, OpenSea has been very easy to get into, because if you go with something like Rarible, there's a lot more to learn. Like you need to get their native token. I'm not sure if it only works with their native token, but Rari, they like each little project has their own benefits and disadvantages, I guess. But for me, OpenSea, I just wish they would contact me so I can get a collection verified. But that even being said, I love them, so I would recommend OpenSea.
And you know, when you create a collection on OpenSea, you have like so many parameters to decide, like number of NFT, the price, etc. So number of yeah, number of NFT already say it. So how do you decide all these parameters?
Okay, so you're talking about if you're starting off an NFT collection and you don't know where to start off,
No, I mean,
how to decide
no,
what
I no,
parameters.
I mean the how to decide the different parameters, like the number of NFTs, the floor price, etc. Is there a sort of template?
So there's no template for that.
Mhm.
I guess the best template for that is by looking what other collections are doing, what is now currently in the market. Like I said, there's 10,000 series of NFTs that just came out, and or not just came out, was since the day of CryptoPunks. Um, that's kind of a template to follow, right? If you're talking about templates or ways of working with NFT collections, that's kind of mainstream. It's creating 10,000 collections. When it comes to price, usually check what the current value is and NFTs mint for. Then you can decide on that. But that's also subjective, right? It's up to the person to decide what they value their NFT at. Because if you want to make it 1 Ethereum for your NFT and you believe it's 1 Ethereum worth, then by all means go and do that, right? That's up to the artist or the developer or the team to decide. But yeah, it's very tempting to create a collection and put a ridiculous amount of money on it. But people need to consider if they're going with blockchains such as Ethereum, not so much Polygon or Solana, but especially with Ethereum's gas prices currently. Keep in mind that the gas price is almost going to be like 60, what currently about 60, $70 on a good day. So you need to keep that in mind. So if your NFT is less valuable than the gas fees, maybe it's time to switch the chain. Maybe go for a different chain just to save on gas fees. But really make your NFTs value. Consider the gas fees because it won't make sense if you're minting something for $5 or it's free and the gas fees are that high unless it's really desirable. Just there are these other options out there. I know you're a big Ethereum fan, myself as well. I believe Ethereum is the future. So I stick my guns to Ethereum. I mint on Ethereum and I keep my collections there as far as I can. And we actually have a collection coming up that's going to be Ethereum based. But that being said, how we worked with the variables is 10,000 is the number, 0.08 the minting price, and then usually you would get a sales date when you decide to launch your NFT, and then you create that dApp that you talked about. So you have to create that linkage, between the smart contract and then the dApp. So there's an extra element to this, right? You don't only need the developer, but you need the developer that can build the front end as well, not only just the smart contract.
Yeah, very good point. And you mentioned that you are building your own NFT collection. So please tell us more about this.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very excited about this. For me, it's been for a while. I've just been doing educational stuff. And yes, I've released Hashlips, and there was the Nerdy Coder clones, the Mushrooms, and these were all, projects for my tutorials. And I was approached recently, by a group of people, and we came up with this amazing idea, getting an artist to hand drawn NFTs. And now, when I say hand drawn, these are not one-off pieces that's hand drawn. These are actually generative art NFTs, meaning that the original artworks was hand drawn by hand, every layer, then colored in, scanned in, and then colored in. And it was really exciting to see, the artist cut out each little layer, making sure it fits to generate these NFTs. Now, the collection's name is called the Sketchy Ape Book Club NFTs. And yes, it's an ape NFT. So I know there's a lot of things around this being an ape NFT. Like there's so many apes out there, but apes are cool. Animals are cool, and that's why there's so many animal NFTs out there. Cats are cute. It's just all over the place. But yeah, I would highly recommend people going checking that out. We as members here at Hashlips, and I'm very proud of it. And the reason for that is big collection. You might find that big collections, such as we just found out that the mutant cat NFTs, right? It's almost a blue chip NFT, has used the Hashlips art engine to create their content. And how we know that is because we can see it on the metadata. And to us, it's a proud moment to be a part of the space and just seeing every now and then these projects using the stuff. So yeah, our project is now called the Sketchy Ape Book Club NFTs, and we're going to rewrite the narrative with the community. Community members that hold our NFT will be able to contribute to our book, which we're going to then go ahead and publish as the first NFT, well, hopefully first NFT-based collaborative narrative book that we are going to be based on NFT, because we really love art. And I personally, you've heard my experience with art. I want to keep it to that, as close as possible to the book, but still keeping it digital and blockchain based. So I urge people to go and check it out. Maybe if Julian's nice enough, we'll leave a link in the description for it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Very interesting. And so you mentioned NFT communities. So can you tell us more about this? So maybe you can talk about your own community, Hashlips, and then I also wonder what are the people to follow on Twitter, maybe other NFT communities, and how do you stay up to date?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So firstly, if you want to get into the NFT space, and you want to find out what the latest collections are, you want development help, obviously there are big channels out there that you can go to, and a few of them, eat the blocks. Obviously, you can join just on the comment section, and just learn a lot by doing that. But the preferred way is to subscribe to Discord, or just have a Discord username to go and subscribe yourself to different servers. So we have a server, it's called Hashlips a server, and it's a Discord space where we actually facilitate, and help people out, bring up their collections by providing our open source art generative code, some smart contracts. It's a really fun and intuitive environment to be in. So that is some more development kind of stuff that we provide. So people can go there, Hashlips Art Engine. That is our GitHub repos. You can get stuff from there as well. Now, other communities, especially where you go and find rare NFTs or NFTs that's going to be minted, or haven't gotten to that sales stage yet, you can check out like Rarity Tools, NFT Culture, NFT Calendar. These are all basically websites that's out there that will show you which NFT collections are about to mint. And it's great tools to use, because you can actually see what collections are coming up, and you can decide if you want to be a part of their whitelisting. A lot of people do that as well. But you can check it out and be involved with the projects from the beginning. So you might find that you join a project and the community building stage is happening. That's happening now with our NFT collection. So there's about 600 members currently, and it's just growing day by day. And then what that creates is this amazing community that just sticks together, and hopefully even after the mint sticks together and just builds up this community that's unstoppable. And then you start seeing the funny memes. So I would say Rarity Tools, NFT Calendar, great sites. NFT Culture, great community that helps artists and developers as well, connect the dots there. Hashlips NFT and Hashlips, the whole ecosystem that we are about education.
Yeah,
as well.
I'll put all these references in the description, because I think that's super interesting. Oh yeah, and about NFT community, are there any interesting DAO to join?
Interesting DAOs. I would not know, but I do know that that's kind of getting into the space, right? I would not know the best ones to actually,
So basically, we can be in NFT without really entering the DAO world. I feel like DAO, to me, it's one of the most promising niche in the space, but it's very underdeveloped at the moment. And it feels like it's not very beginner friendly. The DAO is more like for people who've been in DAO for a while, and really
Yes.
share 100% the culture. It's the more like cutting edge part of crypto, basically.
It is. I mean, you look at the NFT development space and it just grows. And it's no longer just having your artwork be enough for people to collect. There has to be some kind of like benefit to it now, which is great for the NFTs that do that. Obviously, great regulations come with that kind of stuff, because when you're dealing with liquidity, and I don't know how that personally works, and I can just assume that there's a lot more reliability on getting regulators and all those kind of things involved when you're working with that kind of stuff. So for me, if you're an artist, yeah, stick with the normal NFT collection, because you're basically just selling art, right? But you get amazing projects out there. To say the least, you get projects that can actually earn you passive income, apparently, just by holding the NFT. I don't want to name a few names here because I don't want to be responsible if you go and buy them and they don't work out. But all I'm going to say is there are these NFTs that has extra functionalities, extra utilities attached to them. And that's the kind of development space that in the NFT world is going into. There's also a new kind of standard coming out where you can actually, because so NFTs are images, right? And not necessarily always images, but usually images or MP4s or whatever. It's a digital asset, and there's one of it. But now the standard is going to be proposed, or it was proposed, that we can have NFTs to build on top of. So imagine you had a Lego figure, or I don't know if I can say that, but yeah, this is an example. There's a Lego figure, and you want to add a hat, or you want to add a shoe, or let's say you had a doll and you want to add clothes to it. Those can be then NFTs that you customize, and that can be upgradable. So that's actually a standard that's being proposed, and that I'm very excited about personally. It's not DAO, but
Okay, wow. So yeah, it seems like there is a whole a category for I don't know how to call these NFTs, like evolutive NFT or community-led NFT. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know what we can call them, but I don't know, evolution in NFTs, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
evolving NFTs.
And I know you don't want to give a trading advice, but out of all the NFT project, is there any project that you like especially? And this is not a recommendation to buy, but just that you.
Yeah, I can say what I love. I love the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. I absolutely love them. The artworks, the fact that they've brought up this culture, this community, holding festivals. The fact that they every now and then in the news is, to me, tremendous in the NFT space. They are so big that people who don't even know NFTs get to know what the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT looks like. You know, I absolutely adore that. I would just wish I had the chance of minting one before they were sold out or minted out. I wish I had one. But that to me is amazing. You get so many amazing collections. Let me just think what other ones. I own a few, like the Door Apes. Okay, so the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. You also get the Door Apes. This is the Desperate Ape Wife NFTs. Now, they are interesting collection. They came out way after the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, and they made the female versions of them. So they're not associated at all. And a lot of these projects, especially if you create an ape NFT right now, you have to kind of say it's totally disassociated, right? Because no one wants that there to be an association. But the Door Apes is just as cool. Luckily, I managed to get one there. We gave one away today as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, those ones, the mutant cats, I love the mutant NFTs. They just look absolutely perfect and amazing. And yeah, and then sorry, Julian, one of my best ones is way in the beginning, hash marks. I think it was hash masks. I think it's called hash masks. That collection inspired me a lot because you guys should see that. It's called hash masks, and it's an amazing collection of these mask NFTs, and they look like true little art pieces that you can hang on your walls. So that's also one of my favorites.
Yeah, well, thanks. That's very interesting, especially for newbies. And actually, I just had an idea as you were talking. So you mentioned there was the Bored Ape NFT collection, and then there was the female one that wasn't built by the same team. And so I wonder if it's possible to sort of provide add-on for existing NFT collection, and so piggyback on the success. And so let's say then you have the male and the female, and then could you create another collection where, I don't know, you provide some environment for them, like, I don't know, like the house of and so to basically to get one of these NFT, you need to have, I don't know, two like a couple of NFT of board app club or another one. And I mean, you see where it's going.
Yeah, it's like breeding, right? Like almost like saying the one ape's gonna breed with another one, and then
or even or without even breeding, just like providing an NFT that's provide maybe an environment for other NFT, and I don't know if this has been done before.
I'm not sure how it would work, but well, not how it would work. I know exactly how to code that kind of thing, but it's not so much the code that can work. It's so much the would it be ethical to kind of use, let's say, another person's collection and use it for your own good in creating a space for them, which is perfectly fine. I mean, you can do that, especially if the team kind of allows you to kind of do that openly. Because even though it's open source, not open source, but it's open, it's public, and everyone can read information, because everyone can read the JSON metadata. You can absolutely use any of NFTs that you want to, and like go ahead and say, I want to use metadata from that one. This one I'm going to use to do that, and then build up like some kind of house for them. Let's say a house, and you can maybe put them all in there. What you might not be able to do is use their artworks. You'll have to regenerate all the artworks that goes towards that stuff. Totally doable. The NFT space and just is endless, because you're just reading data, and what you do as a developer or as some person that goes out and innovates with that data is endless, and it's up to you.
So you said something very, very important. So you say, okay, this is technically possible, but we also have to think ethically. Is it okay to do this? So if you want to reuse somebody else's work, maybe you want to reach out to them first, or find a way to provide value to their initial community by maybe doing an airdrop for them or something like this, so that you keep good relationships, basically.
Absolutely. Like for me, from day one, that's what it's been about. I'm someone that I never burn bridges unless it is really important to burn that bridge. So for me, I try, and that kind of contradicts myself. What the hell? But anyway, I never try and I always try and speak mindful, or be mindful when I speak about people's projects and what they do, and also giving advice. Because we have to remember also, as YouTubers, I mean, yourself, you have a big YouTube channel. As a YouTuber, you say something and people take it too hard. They think that is the truth, and now we need to go and do that sometimes. And it's, for me, it's always nice to just make it clear and say, by all means, anything is possible. We can do that. But if you do something like that, just reach out to the collection, say, hey, this is what I'm planning, and if they say, well, go ahead and do it, have fun, because it's open knowledge, then you technically, have a good go ahead of doing it. But it's also dependent on how the community takes stuff like that up, because if you use for something, for example, you use something from the bigger collections, their community might not necessarily like that, or they might love it, and you have a great success just from the start because they're that big. So it's a very interesting concept that you brought up. I'll actually look into that, and then maybe we can make some cool videos with just
sure. And and last question for you today, Daniel. So I think you already answered this question partially. So what are your future projects with Hashlips?
Oh man, like I have no idea where it's going. Currently it's been me. It's been making videos. It's been putting it out there, getting amazing feedback. Starting these servers just helped me, help alleviate some of the pressure that I had, because the community is now in such a space where they help each other out. I don't have to be there anymore. I don't have to give so much guidance. So for me, I see myself or starting the next educational series We're going to do a lot more generative art. We're going to do a lot more solution building in Node.js, just to show people how fun code can be. I mean, don't be discouraged to think that code is just forms and just solution solving. It is something fun that you can try. So I want to show that to the whole world. But apart from that, there are some key partnerships that the community wants to do, where it will help facilitate in development of NFTs and so on. So those things are in the works. And then, of course, the Sketchy Ape book club NFTs. Thank goodness I cannot say the other word. I just want to make it clear that the Sketchy Ape book club NFTs have nothing to do with the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, just to make it clear. And that being said, that's my biggest project now. It's our team's biggest project, and it's our responsibility to have like an amazing community and have community engagements, have community giveaways, parties, and all this kind of thing. Because seeing that I'm a guy that preaches NFTs the whole time, for me it's important to have a NFT collection that I stand by and believe in, and that's the one. And that's the thing that we're going to be pushing for the next few months, and then we'll see what's next.
Yeah, okay, well, awesome, Daniel. Well, thanks for your time, for coming here. That was super interesting for anybody who want to dive into NFT development. So of course, guys, make sure to subscribe to Hashlips. I will put the link in the description, and people can also follow you on Twitter. I will also put this in the description, and good luck for Hashlips.
Thanks, Julian. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. And cheers, guys. Everyone should just have an amazing day.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. See ya. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.